I'm Diane Strong with Bourbon on the Banks Festival, and we're here today at J. Mattingly here in Frankfort, Kentucky, to talk to Leroy and Cameron about bringing it home. Come on and join us. Well, thank you, Cameron, for joining us today on Undressing Bourbon, Bringing It Home, where we're going to change it up this year. We're going to try to introduce people in the industry, but get a little bit more, I guess, involved with them so they can tell their personal story. So I guess I want to start by saying, why are you here today at J. Mattingly? I know why I'm here, but how did you get to this place?
All right. Well, a couple different reasons. The bloodline, starting at the beginning, John Graves Mattingly, second registered distiller of the state of Kentucky. That's my great times 7 uncle. So it started early on in the bloodline. And then my father, Jeff Mattingly, started both Bourbon 30 and J. Mattingly 1845 Distillery. So it was kind of the way was paved for me. And I also found an interest in the way that the wood worked with the spirit, and the whole process of putting something into the ground and then it growing and then distilling something that's clear and then it turning into a colored product that's full of flavor over time. The whole process to me was kind of something somewhat supernatural. And there's so many different variables between the crafting, the blending, the distilling, that interested me. And I'm just kind of, I love history, I love science, I love trial and error, and all of this just kind of fell right into place for me.
Leroy, thank you for joining us for Undressing Bourbon, Bringing It Home. So I guess I'd like to start off the interview by asking you, why are you here at J. Mattingly? What got you to this point?
Yeah, I got started from actually playing baseball with Cameron Mattingly. We actually have three or four of us who all played college baseball together and then graduated and then didn't know what to do, so I work full-time here now. And that's what kind of got me into bourbon.
So what do you do here exactly?
I do quite a bit. I would say I'm the jack of all trades around here. I help with production. I do a lot of the graphics. That's what I went to school for, actually, was graphic design. So I work on all the labels and printing the labels, all that fun stuff. I also do, help with tours and tastings. I help Cecil with the distilling process a lot of times. So it's kind of, and then my main job is the crafting of the barrels, studying in white oak and how it affects whiskey, and actually making staves to put into barrels to make certain flavors. So quite a bit. So you grew up in the distillery that your dad created?
Correct. Yeah, I started this in 2010. I was born in 99. So every summer when I wasn't in school, I was cutting grass, weed eating, breaking down barrels, anything since I was 10 years old at a distillery. So when my time came legally, I was kind of given full reins to begin my tasting journey and really begin my bourbon journey too.
Very nice. Your resume goes back longer than most people, I would guess.
I was a lucky one.
You started when you were 11. So what's your official very first memory of bourbon?
Don't know if I can go fully in depth into the story. But whenever my father, Jeff Mattingly, the founder of Bourbon 30 and J. Mattingly 1845, was a kid, my papa, his dad, Romuald, when he would leave the farm, whatever tobacco field that they were farming, Jeff and his brothers would shout out, "It's Bourbon 30." And that just meant it was time to get into Papa's truck and drink as much whiskey as they could in his truck, because it was their break time, their decompression time, whatever they could do to get them a break. That's what Bourbon 30 became. And it kind of got brought down to the kids, the grandkids, that Bourbon 30 became time to also steal Pepaw's whiskey, but also as a time to, get a little loose, get a little a break of life, or decompression, as some people will say. And that's kind of really what we put forth into the Bourbon 30 brand. Whenever we say it's that time, it's Bourbon 30. It's that time. It's time to decompress. It's time to calm down, chill out, take a break from work or family drama or any drama you have. It's the decompression time. That's really what Bourbon 30 means.
Very cool. Well, it sounds like so much of your life is very kind of focused and around your grandfather. He was a very important person, and I think we have a lot to thank him for here. So how about we go ahead and cheers to Grandpa?
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers. I guess your bourbon memories are going to be pretty fresh. Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite bourbon memory so far?
There's quite a few. I would say for something that's not work related, we do a lot of blind tastings. And working here, I only know Jay Mattingly as my first bourbon or whiskey. So I really enjoy going out to different bars, trying different brands, and expanding my horizons that way. So my favorite memory is just bar hopping and going to different stores and trying new stuff just like everyone else.
Is there a specific location that is your favorite bourbon memory?
In the woods, in a tree stand next to a creek. It's anything natural, in a cornfield. Nature. Just bringing it all, being down to earth, being with the origins of whiskey is probably the best place. Yeah. Not in a concrete jungle.
So if you had the opportunity, which I'm sure you've never had an opportunity to name a bourbon, what would you name it?
If I had to do my own?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a question I've ever been asked. I think I've been asked my opinion. I've been asked if I had to make a brand, what I would name it. I really don't have a name because I'm family oriented, and so like the J Mattingly would be what I would name it. But if I had to name a specific bottle or anything like that, I think it would. We just had a conversation this morning. Our distiller. He, doesn't get a lot of credit by his name. I don't even think he wants the credit. But if I had to name a bottle, it would be J. Mattingly 1845 Cecil's Cut. Cecil is our distiller, and he refuses to take credit for anything. And I think if I had to name a bottle, it would be after him.
Very cool.
I'd probably go back to one of the first ones I did, Leroy's Special Reserve. That we did that for someone out in Tennessee when I first started, and I always thought that would be a cool label to expand upon later on.
Taking it up a notch, do you like to pair bourbon with food, or do you like to keep it separate?
So I got luckily enough in high school. I had a very good high school. I went to Martha Lane Collins in Shelby County, Kentucky. And they had this wonderful chef there named Miss Roberts, probably the single best teacher I've ever had in my entire life. Very strict, very by the book, and I think that's what a lot of high schoolers need. But Miss Roberts, she started this program at my high school that you did a 2-year culinary program, and you got taken out to be serve safe ready, which is what you need to be able to perform in a kitchen. So she made us ready to be able to go out of high school into a kitchen, into a more high-class program. And based off that, I learned the proper ways to cook, the more chef style, I guess is the way. And based through that, I learned a lot of different taste profiles through natural herbs, different meats, different things like that. And I feel like that really is that was the catalyst that made me fall in love with bourbon. Because I tell a lot of people, I don't describe my whiskey on flavor profiles. I describe them on the journey it takes me through. So if I say something tastes like, what was it I said earlier? I said the whiskey tasted like a hickory smoked pork butt. And it was one of our 99% corn light whiskeys that we did. And it wasn't exactly that it had a pork flavor or a hickory flavor, but it was the entire journey that the whiskey sent me through. Reminded me of being at a good smokehouse, getting a good hickory smoked pork butt. And I think that's what a lot of people miss in the flavor profile whiskey descriptions. Is it's not necessarily exactly what you're tasting, it's the journey it takes you through. And the beauty of whiskey is that I have a different flavor profile than you have, or that Jeff has, or that any other master distiller or tour guide has. We all have different flavor profiles. And that's really the beauty of whiskey, is that you might enjoy something I think's terrible, and I might enjoy something you think's terrible. But I do think that the culinary program I got taken through in high school really was the catalyst and the love language I needed to learn for whiskey.
That sounds like it kind of makes you unique as a bourbon person. Is there anything else that you think makes you stand out from other bourbon people?
I think I was given kind of, some people are given a bad deck of cards in their life. Some people are dealt bad cards in life. I think luckily I was dealt a good hand. My birth mother, we raised thoroughbreds. We bred thoroughbreds and trained them as racehorses at Indiana Downs, Churchill, and Keeneland. And then my dad's side, Jeff, the founder of Bourbon 30 and J. Mattingly 1845, he started bourbon. So I was kind of the conception of Kentucky put together, the thoroughbreds and the bourbon. Luckily, I was given a really good deck of cards when I was raised, and it was kind of, here you go. This is your field. Make sure the crops grow. Don't screw it up. Is kind of what I was given. Is just don't screw it up. Here it is. Don't screw it up.
It's like you're the epitome of what Kentucky is: horses and bourbon.
I got it. The horses aren't there anymore, but the bourbon still is. So you're right. It's definitely there. Is
this your career path? Do you have goals in the industry? You want to own your own distillery someday?
I don't know. A lot of days I take it one day at a time, but I would say I'm definitely tied to this place. It has a soft spot in my heart. Coming out of school and having nothing but a bachelor's in fine arts, there's not a lot of opportunity out there, so you got to make your own opportunity. And I'm very grateful that, J. Mattingly's given me the opportunity to grow and flourish. And I would definitely say my resume is stacked if anything did happen, God forbid, but I definitely would like to continue my path here. If that's, helping distill or making labels or even doing production, I don't think I'm going anywhere anytime soon. So
thank you for joining us on this episode of Undressing Bourbon, bringing it home, which I think you did really well. And thank you all for joining us. On behalf of Bourbon on the Banks Festival and Undressing Bourbon, cheers.